I'm Sonya Shafer with Simply Charlotte Mason. Our delightful reading kits will help you teach your child to read using the wonderful methods that Charlotte Mason described in her books. We thought that you might like to know how Charlotte approached phonics. There are basically two approaches to phonics: intensive phonics and basic phonics. In an intensive phonics approach, you teach all of the possible combinations of letters that the child might ever encounter as he's reading. And you teach those as rules. The child is supposed to memorize the rules and then practice reading words and applying the various rules. Charlotte Mason used more of a basic phonics approach. In a basic phonics approach, you teach only some basic rules, not every possible combination known to man. You give your child just enough to help him get started reading, but you're not bogging him down. Let me show you an example of how each of those phonics approaches would teach, let's say, this line of words: fat, hat, mat, sat, rat, chat, that, but this is not wat, this is what. Now, in an intensive phonics approach, you would probably come up with a new rule that would apply in this situation, have the child learn this new rule, and practice reading any words that would come from that rule. But in a basic phonics approach, you let the child see for himself that not all words fall into neat little rules, and that's all right. You simply would say, "Oh, that word is pronounced differently. It's what," and you move on. No big deal. Most children have been dealing with the anomalies of the English language for several years already, and they have informally been picking up many exceptions as they hear and speak the language just as they go along. And Charlotte trusted that the child would do the same in reading. Now, some children do need an intensive phonics approach, but most children will do just fine having a basic phonics approach. And that's how Charlotte Mason approached teaching reading. In a Charlotte Mason approach, phonics is introduced in the first level when the child is informally playing with letters and the sounds they make. That's the beginning of phonics. Once the child knows most of the basic letter sounds, he moves on to the second level and starts putting the sounds together to build words. At this word-building stage, basic phonics guidelines are given through multisensory, informal games and activities. And once the child can read a couple of hundred words, short vowel words, long vowel words, words with blends, etc., he moves on then to the third level, which transitions him into reading sentences and paragraphs and chapters in books. At that third level, he's encouraged to use a variety of tools to help him progress in reading. Word building is continued to reinforce those basic phonics, and we can give him more phonics help in the moment as it is needed if he comes across a word that he can't figure out. In fact, studies have shown that phonics guidelines can be very effective when they're introduced as needed, rather than as a list of rules to be memorized and remembered and applied later. But we also, in that third level, will bring in learning whole words by sight in order to give the child another tool. By the way, if you're curious what those reading lessons look like at the third stage, using both word building and whole words, you can watch a demonstration video that I made called Delightful Reading Level 3, From Words to Books. Fluency in reading depends on reading whole words, recognizing words quickly as your eye moves across the page, not focusing on individual letters. So it's good to give the child both basic phonics and sight words. Some children will lean more on the phonics, and others will lean more on the sight words to get up and running with their reading. I love how Charlotte included both in her approach. With delightful reading, You will give your children several tools to help them learn to recognize words and to enjoy reading.